Let's dive right into something that's, well, it's kind of wild. Hidden deep inside your DNA, literally woven into the code that makes you you, are the ghosts of ancient viruses. And I don't mean just a few straight pieces, we're talking about a massive permanent part of our genetic blueprint. What's truly mind-blowing is just how much of you is, well, viral. Yeah, you heard that right. A staggering 8.3% of the human genome is made up of these old viral leftovers. Now, to put that into perspective, all the genes that actually code for proteins, the building blocks of our bodies, they make up less than 2% of our DNA. So this means, by a pretty wide margin, there's more ancient virus in your DNA than protein-coding human. So what in the world are these viral ghosts doing in there? For decades, scientists pretty much dismissed them as junk DNA, just silent evolutionary fossils taking up space. But we now know they are anything but inactive. They can be a really powerful ally, but they can also be a seriously dangerous foe. This is the story of our very complicated relationship with the viruses that literally became a part of us. So, to really understand this double-edged sword, we first need to get a handle on what these viral tenants actually are and, how they got there in the first place. They're called human endogenous retroviruses, or HERVs for short. The best way to think of them is as fossilized remains of infections that our really distant ancestors had to deal with. But here's the key difference. Unlike a normal virus, these didn't just infect one person. They managed to infect the very cells that create the next generation, becoming a permanent, heritable part of our human blueprint. So, how did this ancient invasion actually play out? It wasn't just a single event. It was this fascinating four-step process that unfolded over millions and millions of years. Okay, so it all starts when a special kind of virus, a retrovirus, manages to infect a germline cell, that's a sperm or an egg. Then, the virus does its signature trick. It uses a special enzyme to make a DNA copy of its own RNA code. This new chunk of viral DNA then gets stitched right into the host chromosome. And once it's in the germline, that's the ballgame. The final crucial step is what we call vertical transmission. The viral DNA is now inherited, passed down from parent to child, just like the gene for your eye color. And this wasn't some freak accident that happened just once. I mean, look at this timeline. It gives you a sense of the immense scale we're talking about. The first integrations into our ancestral line started 100 million years ago. Most of the HERVs we're carrying around today got in there between 20 and 40 million years ago. And the youngest ones, from a family called HERV-K, they're so recent they happened just a few 100,000 years ago, right around the time modern humans were first emerging. Now, you're probably wondering, with all this viral DNA just sitting there, why aren't we constantly sick? Well, it turns out our bodies have developed some incredibly clever ways to keep these ancient invaders on a very tight leash. The main defense mechanism is something called epigenetics. These are basically chemical tags that our cells attach to our DNA, and they act like off switches. They don't change the DNA sequence itself, but they totally control which genes get read and which ones stay quiet. And you can bet our cells work overtime to plaster these silencing tags all over our HRVs. This chart explains it perfectly. Think of your DNA like a giant library of instruction manuals. For a gene to be read, the DNA needs to be in an open state, kind of like a book you've taken off the shelf. But to silence HERVs, our cells pack that section of DNA so incredibly tightly, creating what we call closed chromatin, that it's basically like locking that instruction manual away in a vault. The information is still there, it's just completely impossible to access. But, and this is a huge but, here's the twist in the story. Over millions of years of evolution, our bodies didn't just silence these viruses. In some cases, we actually tamed them and put them to work for us. This quote from the research just nails it. Our bodies have co-opted parts of these ancient viruses, especially their really powerful genetic switches, to actually boost our own immune systems. So in a wild evolutionary turn, our former enemies have become some of our most important allies. Let's look at a fantastic real-world example. When your body detects an infection, it sends out a warning signal called interferon. The signal, it turns out, flips the switch on a specific HERV named MER41. Once MER41 is activated, it acts like a genetic amplifier, cranking up the activity of a human gene right next to it called AIM2. And why is that so important? Because the AIM2 protein is a crucial sensor for detecting invading viral DNA, which supercharges our ability to fight off new infections. So, HERVs can be our friends, but what happens when those epigenetic locks fail? What happens when these ancient viral genes wake up when they're not supposed to? Well, this is where our inner ghosts can come back to haunt us big time. This can lead to a really dangerous situation known as viral mimicry. See, when HERVs get reactivated by mistake, they start churning out viral RNA and proteins. Our immune system sees these molecules, but it has no way of knowing they're from our own DNA. It thinks it's a real, live, external virus, so it sounds the alarm and launches a full-blown attack, not against a foreign invader, but against our own cells. And this confusion isn't just general, it can be incredibly specific. You can see it right here. On the left are immune sensors, and on the right are the HERV products they mistakenly detect. So for example, a sensor called TLR4, which normally looks for bacteria, can get tripped up by a HERV-W protein. Another sensor, CGAS, which is designed to hunt for viral DNA, can get set off by HERV DNA. Our own genetic code is essentially tricking our defense systems into a state of panic. The result of this constant, misplaced immune attack is chronic inflammation, and this is serious business. Researchers have now linked this process of viral mimicry to a whole host of debilitating autoimmune and inflammatory diseases, including things like multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus. Let's just take MS as a specific example. In many MS patients, scientists find high levels of the HERV-W envelope protein. We now have strong evidence that this protein can directly trigger immune cells, fueling the neuroinflammation that attacks and damages nerve fibers. It's a really clear case of an ancient virus playing an active role in a modern disease. So, after seeing both sides of the coin, what are we supposed to make of this incredible viral legacy that's living inside of us? It's definitely not a simple story. It truly is the ultimate double-edged sword. On one side, these HERVs have become a part of our evolutionary toolkit, providing us with genetic switches that enhance our defenses. But on the other side, when they're not controlled properly, they become a foe, driving the chronic inflammation and autoimmunity that are at the heart of so many diseases. So at the end of the day, the story of our inner viruses isn't really about good versus evil. It's about a deep, messy, complex, and still evolving relationship. It's this incredible dance between a host and a permanent guest, a guest that has fundamentally shaped what it means to be human, for better and for worse. And that leaves us with a really profound question. We know this viral DNA has been a powerful force in shaping our past. But as we learn more, as we learn to understand and maybe even manipulate it, how is this ancient genetic legacy going to shape the future of our health, our medicine, and maybe our species itself?